Hello friends and gamers, and welcome to Fortress. My name is Jinx, and today we're looking at the campaign medals for Italy for Global War 1936 version 3 for the Tournament of the Spring Offensive 2021. So the campaign medals are a series of 3 ribbons that will represent, that will show kind of what nation you played, what tournament you attended, and how well you did within that nation. So the 3 ribbons themselves are the campaign ribbon. It'll have a number attachment starting at 1 for the first tournament, etc. The second ribbon would be the prestige ribbon, which would attach prestige stars to show how well you did within the game. And the national ribbon will show which nation you played, and if you got first or second place, if your alliance got first or second place, they'll have a gold or silver star, it'll further have an oak leaf to represent if you played more than one major nation. So to give recognition to those players that come in, and say if everybody else calls in sick and they come in and play their entire side, well, they would get an oak leaf to represent that they played more than one side. It's a bigger workload. Alright, so the Italian one is next, but I'm really under the weather today. You know, I actually went and got my second coronavirus vaccine dose, and yeah, the symptoms, the side effects hit me hard. So fever, chills, nausea, I got them all, and so it was so bad last night that I had 2 layers of blankets on, a sweater, and the room was at 30 degrees. Like, we're going through a heat wave here, so 30-degree room, plus 2 blankets and a sweater, and I was still freezing. It was insane. So my brain is not in it, and time is ticking for this thing to get completed. So if you guys have any thoughts and feedback I want to add, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I want to thank right now my contributors as well who have assisted in this. So Madman Dan, Liam Biarowski, Edelwolf, and Trig. I really appreciate your guys' thoughts and feedback on this, and everybody else is welcome too to pitch in some ideas too if they like. So Italy is not 100% done, but I'm going through a brain fog and having difficulty thinking of new things. Italy suffers from this thing where if they're left alone, they can do some fantastic things. But if they're not left alone, they can do very little. They're so dependent on other players. So certain things in some games, certain stuff that would be fairly, medium difficulty will be easy, and other ones will be extraordinarily hard. So I'll show you kind of what I've got, and it's not much, I'll confess that. So in Tier 1, so the way it works too is you get different amount of prestige stars depending on how well you did in the game. So there's 3 options within each star except for the last one, and so the idea there is that every player would strive for one of the 3 options and get that star to show how well they played. And I'm trying to balance it that there's only 1 player or 2 players that will get a 4-star, and usually the losing side will have 2 stars and the winning side will have some 3 stars, but apart from that, that's about it. So Italy, first one up is a blank. I'm all out of ideas for the blank stuff for Tier 1, so I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are as well. I have this one here, 8 million bayonets. That's a speech by Mussolini at some point and boasting about how big of an army they'll have or did have, and so yeah, it's something to take note over here. I'm not sure exactly how that'll look up. I just threw it in here because I had on another customized board game thing that I had that I made, and so 8 million bayonets. I don't know what that'll look like. If it might be something as simple as at some point in the game have X amount of infantry or something along those lines. The other 2 tiers are blank here, so you see I'm struggling for ideas. Next up, Tier 2. So, rompere I bar della prigione. Break the prison bars. And this is again another speech from Mussolini. So all of these are based upon either existing military operational plans or speeches by the dictators of the time, or dictators and leaders of the time. So gain a prestige star if, at the end of the game, Italy or a member of its alliance control all or most of the following land zones, except for 2. So Rome, Northern Italy, and Sicily, Sardinia, Rhodes, Crete, Malta, Cyprus, and Corsica. Let's show you on the map. So Corsica, let me just get a different color here. That's pretty basic stuff, right? Like, it's basically one of the speeches that he felt like Italy was being hemmed in on all sides. And so this is the idea there, that they'd be broken free of all the links that they have. I think Malta's on there as well, and Cyprus. So basically control all the islands minus the Spanish ones in the Mediterranean. Now that one could be a difficult one to do. I admit that, because it really depends on what the allies allow a person to do. So perhaps instead of saying at the end of the game, it should be at some point during the game. Grab all these islands, and it's not too hard. It's, you got Crete, Cyprus, Malta. Those can be difficult, and this one will be in the hands of the Vichy. So by making it at any point in the game, you only have to hold on to Malta and Cyprus. But that might be too easy. It really depends on what the allies do. Malta, I think, is underrepresented of how valuable it was to the Allies in World War II. In this, it's basically not even, I mean, I think it starts off with a militia, and that's about it. And I think, I don't know, I don't think I've seen too many people actually bother about Malta, but historically it was actually quite important. So that's why I wanted it on there. But let me know your thoughts, because in this they only need 3 of those territories, and even then, I have an exception of 2, which makes it ridiculously easy. So the reason I have an exception of 2 is at the end of the game, right? But if it's at any point in the game, I might just simply say you have to hold on to all these islands at some point in the game. Moving on. Contingency G. Gain a prestige star if at any point during the game, Italy or member of its alliance control all the following land zones for a full game round, from the end of the Italian turn to the end of the following Italian turn. All land zones of the Greek printed. So that would be these ones here in yellow, Crete, as well as these ones up here. So that's kind of a historical operational battle plan that they had existing at the time, capture all this. Now, I'm trying to mix this one up with a British one, where the British are trying to hold on to it for a good length of time. I don't know how long it would be, maybe say two full turns, 3 full turns, or maybe the entire game, as long as they hold one of these territories the entire length of the game. That might be too much. You know, maybe it's just best to do 2 turns and that would be it. I think thinking about that, that seems to make the most sense. Hold on to one of these territories for 2 full turns. The thing is, it's actually going to take less than that to capture. There's going to be Macedonia, and so the line here is deceptive for Macedonia. The line kind of, yeah, Albania borders Thessaly, Macedonia borders Thessaly, but Yugoslavia does not border Thessaly. Macedonia is in the way. So theoretically, there's 1 turn here, 2 turn here, and 3 turn here. So a person could make it more difficult and say 2 full turns to 2 full turns once it's in British hands. Something along those lines would work. Or you could say 3 full turns. 1, 2, 3, meaning that they have to hold back the enemy for a turn longer or something like that. So that would work as well. Mare Nostro, RC. Gain a prestige star if at the end of the game, Italy controls the majority of surface warships in the Mediterranean. This one could be easy, but it could also be hard. Depends if Italy goes to war. Now these ones you see here, Italy has to go to war for them. They have to do it to grab those territories, I think. Yeah, they have to at least be at war with Crete, right? So if there's an exception of 2 at the end of the game, like I said, I might redo this one and say at any point during the game, hold all these territories, and that would probably be better. But anyways, RC could be one where Italy doesn't even have to go to war and can still get this victory objective or this prestige objective, so that would work. All right, sorry, I'm quite tired. All right, tier 3, I have another blank. Then I have Operation E. Italy controls, if at the end of the game, Italy controls the land zone of Eastern Egypt. That is decently hard. Eastern Egypt is quite valuable to the Allies. If memory serves, Eastern Egypt is worth, I think it's worth $6 of bonus income, 7 if you include that, plus it's worth 2 victory points to the Allies. If it stays in Italian hands at the end of the game, then the Allies are missing out on a lot of cash, plus 2 victory points. Now granted, one of those is holding on to Eastern Egypt or Aden, but yeah, that's the way it is. So yeah, so it is would be a challenge to grab that. And the keys of the Mediterranean is at any point in the game, Italy controls the following land zones for a full game round. So basically Gibraltar and Eastern Egypt. Now, as we saw, Eastern Egypt is here, and you have to hold on to them both and control them both for a full game round, which could be easy, but it could be difficult too. It really depends on what the British do. And I think it's a worthy tier 3 victory. You don't have to hold it at the end of the game. You just have to hold it at some point during the game. Okay, tier 4, Imperial Italy. So this one was a historical plan for fascists to do Italy what they wanted to do. So Imperial Italy. Grab all or most of these territories except for 2. All land zones of the printed Italian roundel, Tunisia, northern Algeria, Morocco, and French Somaliland. Initially I only had Tunisia because these ones weren't in the picture, northern Algeria and Morocco. French Somaliland, western and eastern Egypt, Nubia, British Somaliland, and Abyssinia. Basically the Italians wanted to connect their holdings in here, in the eastern portion of Africa, to their holdings in North Africa. So they would have to control all this stuff going up here, and all the stuff with the printed roundel. Additionally, they wanted to hold on to Tunisia. Now, they didn't have an interest, or sure, they had minor interest, but they didn't talk about grabbing northern Algeria and Morocco. That wasn't part of it. I just added that into the game just for extra complexity. Now, this one is for tier 4, you wouldn't have to hold on to too many territories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have to hold on to those 8. So that's why I threw in these ones here, just to make it a little bit more difficult for a good tier 4. So let me know your thoughts on that one. And also you have to hold on to everything with the Italian printed roundel, including roads. That one could be also forgotten. Another way of writing that one up is just Italian homeland, but then you're ignoring this stuff. So I think it's best to have Italian printed roundel. Next up, we have the new Roman Empire. Gain a prestige star if, at the end of the game, Italy or a member of its lands control all or most of the following land zones, except for 5. All land zones with the printed Italian roundel, and all land zones adjacent to every Mediterranean sea zone. I think that should say sea zone instead of sea zones. So that's a lot of territory at that point. Let's zoom out a little bit. So the exception is 5, so it's a little bit less. Let's paint it all out. So that's Gibraltar, this stuff, and it could be in the hands of their allies as well. So a controlled minor like Vichy France, well, that would absolutely work as well. Yeah, so that means all these territories here. Basically recreating the Roman Empire, essentially, with their grasp around the whole Mediterranean. So that's all this stuff. Oops, not there. Not too far south. Boom. So yeah, recreating the Roman Empire basically at its extent. So that's a difficult one to do. Now there's an exception of 5, so we can trim that down a little bit. We can say take off this one, this one, this one, and you have one less enemy to tackle. Say Germany has grabbed these guys right here. Yugoslavia's grabbed, and say Italy got lucky and it's got hold of Albania and these ones here. And then Germany also has Vichy France, and if Catalonia, if Spanish nationalists win and they join the Axis, well then they have those ones automatically. Then realistically all Italy has to grab is places such as Gibraltar, Morocco, northern Algeria, and some of these other ones over here. And that still gives us a small exception as well, just in case the Allies come sweeping in and grab Gibraltar and that kind of thing. So doable, I don't know. It's not super duper hard relative to the other stuff that the other players have, but Italy, it's not often that Italy does well, and it's really dependent on the Germans, right? So it's hard to find good tier 4 stuff for them. And that is it. That is the summation of all I have for the Italians thus far. It's not lots, and I need to work on them more. But thank you all for what you have, any feedback and comments you have of what I should include. I have 3 spaces here empty, plus another space here. And also, please feel free to tell me which ones I should shift around and such. My mind's not in it, and I'm starting to be looking forward to working on another project and making some other videos apart from this stuff. Okay, all. Thanks all for watching. Cheers.